Hey everybody, this is Keith at shipwrightskills.com and shipwrightskills on Instagram, and I wanted to show you the assembly and painting of my Brodbeck Ironworks belt grinder. It's a 2x72 inch belt, tilts, it has all sorts of attachments and stuff, and this thing rocks. I love it. For wood and metal, can't be beat. If you look at all the different attachments I've got for it, extremely versatile tool. There I am using it for bronze, and I have probably a 1-inch belt. It might be a scalloped edge belt, and it's probably a J-flex belt, so that you can put all different belts and grits and materials, Scotch Brite, stuff like that on this thing. And as you can see, you can get right into dangerous little things that you couldn't do without hand sanding, or maybe with your Dynafile or something like that. You could do some of these things, but this is just so efficient. I've got dust collection hooked up right below it to capture dust, and it works. It's well worth it. So the first thing I want to say about their product is that Brodbeck Ironworks ships it in a priority mailbox. So it's a doubled up box. It's heavy duty. There was no damage. They were very heavy boxes that came, a whole bunch of them. My mail carrier was interested to know what I was getting, but it worked just fine. So I wanted to make sure that everything was clean, and it's part of my protocol to always wipe everything down with the appropriate thinners and stuff before I start work, just in case there's any oil or grease or anything on it, rust, just any kind of anything. I don't want anything to interfere with the paint that I'm going to put on it, because it wasn't a cheap tool, so I want to make sure to preserve it. I see a lot of people not painting them, and I think that's, well, I think it's stupid, really. If you want it to rust and be, pretty crappy, pretty fast, you can do that. But it's easy to paint things, and then you can have it as a lifetime tool. If you live in a desert or something, maybe you're not worried about it. But here, it's so humid that any bare metal on anything gets rusty. So why bother taking the chance? Everything fits together really tightly, so I used Rust-Oleum automotive primer on it first. That will work well with the polyurethane I'm going to put on it later. Machining's super tight, so if you paint it beforehand, you will have a hard time smashing everything together without just, ripping your paint up. The machining is tight, so which is good. It means that there's no floppiness or sloppiness when you're assembling anything. It all goes together clean. There I'm putting the pivot together for the tilt mechanism. There's some nylon washers and stuff like that in there. It's you don't want to over tighten those, and you just follow the instructions. They have PDFs that come with this thing, and you just do what it says, follow the directions, keep your phone near you with the PDF open or print it out or whatever, and just follow their instructions, because if you skip a step, you might have to take something apart and put it back together. So there I was putting Starbond cyanoacrylic glue to mount some of the permanent things that I know will never come apart ever. Kind of like Loctite. I just put, cyanoacrylic glue. So here I'm putting together this platform that basically holds the motor and the tool arms and all that kind of stuff. And as you can see, it's like a mortise and tenon construction, and it works awesome. Everything was square and true and flat and just clean. It was a really clean install, easy to do. Here you gotta think about what you're doing, because there's sort of stacks of washers and different configurations of washers to make sure that the gas strut and the arm line up, and then that there's the belt tracking wheel lines up with the drive wheel. You got to just kind of pay attention, but it all went first try, easy. So I wanted to thank Totalboat for providing me with the paint for this thing. They were nice enough to send me some of this wet edge polyurethane paint that they make. It's if you've ever varnished or something like that with a high quality enamel, you know the drill. It's basically the same. You can thin it. It flows out well. You want to use a nice bristle brush. It works just awesome. It covers really well. It's pretty thick. I was putting it on pretty thick as well, Yes, you could spray it, I'm sure, but it was the middle of winter and I wasn't going to spray it. So I just threw it on with a brush. It's easy. For something like this, it's not a car. I don't think it's a big deal. So here I'm just painting all the little bits. Everything that I think, needs it gets painted, because why deal with rusty stuff later? For me, it's just that, the rust will come off on your hands even if it doesn't damage the tool. You'll be finishing something to 220 and then all of a sudden there'll be rust on it because you just touched the side of your grinder and to adjust it or whatever, and you got rust on you. So why bother? Paint it up. So after I painted the first coat, I sanded with a block and paper and red Scotch-Brite, etc., to get everything all smooth like sea glass, ready for a second coat. Any dust or little bits of paper towel or whatever maybe that's stuck on little burrs and stuff, everything got knocked down. So the whole thing was clean, and then I did it again. And this time when I did it, I used a smaller and thinner brush. So it's a lighter coat, this second coat. And that was just really just to clean it up, make sure all the paint laid flat, and that worked very well. Basically the paint just lays down, flows out really well, so you get a nice smooth finish. There it's not totally dry yet, but once it dried, you can see the reflection in the paint. It dries very nice. Then I got a little bit of this wet edge in a different color. Obviously, this is red, and decided to highlight some of the edges and jazz this thing up a little bit. Figured if I was painting it, I might as well take a couple extra hours and make it look like it's my tool. So I got out a couple of cheap brushes and just kind of went after it. And I'm no professional, so it's not as perfect as you see car pinstripers and stuff like that do it, but I also wasn't trying to take a million years to do it, so I just sort of went for it. I'm using a couple different brushes here that I got from macbrush.com. They have a bunch of different really cool brushes. You can kind of see that one looks like a little miniature paintbrush. It's flat. They're both squirrel tail, I believe, and then this one that I'm using there, I think. You can't really see the brush, but if you pay attention, you can see that little one is round. The other one was like a chisel. Then once I had some accenting done on the edges, I decided to go and add a little bit of black to that original blue and give myself sort of a blue-gray to do a little bit more detail on the paint job, give it some more depth. So I just kind of came up with a random pattern as I went. It's not technical or laid out or anything like that. I just sort of filled in the space with fun shapes as I went. And the cool thing about this wet edge stuff is it stays wet for a couple seconds, so you can wipe it off with a paper towel if you mess it up, or your pinky or whatever. You can just do like I just did there. So after a little bit here, it got quite a bit more interesting looking. I liked that, and that was fun. But my original plan was to then go over all of this with a white stripe. So there's the little, I think it's called a wizard, maybe. I think it's called a scrolling brush. And I'm not very good, but I had a lot of fun. So, and there I'm trying the other brush just to see how that works. I got two different widths of both of those kind of brushes. And both of them hold a lot of paint, and they work well with this polyurethane. Works great. You just got to keep them clean. It's a lot of fun. I just pretty much went completely freestyle and added shapes as I saw fit. This is a little throwback to some of our modern artists that you may or may not know. I won't say names. But after a little while, I got a little bit better, and it went pretty fast, actually. a few couple hour sessions to do this entire grinder up like this, but I thought the effect was pretty fun, and just kind of let me get a little bit of art out. And all that was a lot of fun. Once I got it done, well, as far as I wanted to go with it anyway. There's still some parts that I'll probably give the white stripes to, but you know, I thought that I took it far enough. It actually looks all protected, it looks jazzy, and it's my own. Then I wired it up, I put the wheels on it, which was easy, figured out the tool arms and little tightening mechanisms and the belt tracking and all that kind of stuff. The wiring was super simple. It's a variable speed VFD on a single phase motor for this one, and I believe actually the motor can be wired for 220 or 110 or 120. Works great. You just turn it on, turn your speed from 0 up to whatever you want to use it at, and away you go. Works. This tool is so easy to use, and the assembly was very, very easy. The tool arms are just as easy to put together as the rest. So I wanted to thank Brodbeck Ironworks for all their help. Really knowledgeable guys. They walked me through all this stuff and gave me a demo at the Maker Camp. And I wanted to thank Totalboat for their continuing support of all my creative endeavors and giving me the paint. And yeah, and thank you for watching.